All right, this is Jimmy. Thought I'd do a video as I'm dressing out this deer. Just maybe help some people. Hey, there's a lot of people that already know how to dress out a deer, but there's possibly some that don't know how to do it right. Tell you something about the fat on the deer before we get started. That fat right there, it's not like the fat on a bull or something like that. It's not good to eat. It's kind of waxy. It will make a very good candle, but it's not something that you want to throw in your meat. I know a lot of people say, well, they just don't like deer. Yeah, maybe they'd take an old shoulder like this and then they'd just put it in a crock pot and they said, man, I don't like that. Deer tastes gamey. This animal, and a cow too, it's got certain things that needs to be removed. Just like in a deer, you want to remove the sinew and you want to remove the fat because the fat actually has a waxy taste to it. People say, well, I don't like the wow. Well, this may be some of the stuff. Now, the sinew, actually, if you throw it in sausage, you might not know it, but really, you don't need an excessive of that.
Hope you can see that. You can see right through it. When the Native Americans, when they made a bow, they would wrap it over and over with that to give it strength and to keep it from splitting.
And when that sinew dried, you'd have that same type of flex that you'd get from fiberglass or something else. So they didn't waste not one part of it. So you cut that front shoulder back. All right, I cut it short right here. So what we've got is a shoulder. All right, there's some things that you have to take out of that shoulder. I know a lot of people say, I just don't like deer meat. Maybe they don't like it, but there is a way to do everything. Just like when you butcher a cow, I've butchered several. There's different parts that are tender, different parts that are not tender. If you throwed it all together, you know, a lot of people like a ribeye, some people like a T-bone, some people like a New York strip. Well, all that's found in different sections, and maybe we'll get into that. It's also on this deer. Had to get all the musk out of everything, which is what it is glands. That's a gland. Pull those glands out. Just about every animal has them. You just don't see the butchering process. That gland might just be that wild taste you think you're thinking. If there is nothing more leaner, maybe a rabbit, but there's nothing much leaner and good for you than a deer. Now the front shoulders, I'm just showing you a few things about it. First, you can make shoulder steaks. Remove it. In the veins. Because on a steak, and this is what I just like to batter up and fry for breakfast right here is these steaks. Now I know there's people say the tenderloin's the best part of it. The tenderloin is the tenderest part of it, and they're pretty good. There's some tender parts on that shoulder also that we can come in and make us some breakfast sausage out of, or we can just fry it up in chunks. I would say that right there, that little roll off the front of that shoulder, something to batter up and fry in a skillet. If you just fry that whole thing up, you're going to get a certain taste. You left those musk in there, you probably wouldn't like it. A lot of people would take a shoulder and they'll just throw it in a stew and they'll make a stew and discourage somebody from deer meat. Well, even in a stew, this shoulder would make a great stew, but there's some dressing that has to take place in it. That right there is almost like in the hind quarter you would find a eye of round. just like this. You cut across the grain. You always, in any animal, you want tender chunks, you cut across the grain. You cut with the grain, you get a stringy meat. That's decent. That's a nice little piece of meat. I guess you'd call them cube steaks. That's as pretty a steaks as you'll ever want to see right there. Out of a front shoulder. People say, well, that's a waste. That's a waste. You know, there's not but so much you can eat. It depends on how you dress it. I've seen people take and just cut the back strap off and leave the deer in the woods. I don't even want to say what I'd like to do to them kind of people, because I have to change my way of thinking and just pray for them. Because that old animal don't deserve that. It's a blessing to receive meat off these animals. You shouldn't waste anything if you can help it. Now I'm dressing that up for what I'm looking for. There's that sinew again. Now, it would probably fry right off of there, or might even chew real good. But I'm not into chewing. I'm into some nice little meat. Now, let me cut that up. Similar across the grain. Got a little sinew in the middle of that. That's what you'd take and maybe make a little stew meat out of. That good, nice dress stuff right there needs to be supper. And I don't know how you do it. Hey, maybe you're doing it a better way. But if at all possible, now that there's dog food. But if at all possible, you don't get your meat wet. It's better not to wash the flavor out of it. So in order to do that, you got to learn how to clean a deer without getting hair on it for sure. Because if you get hair on it, you need to skin that. You don't need to wash the hair off of it. You need to get rid of that. So that's a nice little piece. But if you cut it across the grain, it'll be real thin. We're going to put that in a stew pile. And because the deer's been hanging, I dress anything up I don't like the looks of. Now, the reason to hang it. Usually, if you get a butchered cow, it's been hanging right before freezing for 2 weeks to make that meat tender. Now, I butchered cows and not been able to hang them, and that old cow be tough. So just like that cow, we hung this deer because the temperatures were just barely breaking 30 degrees, and it makes it tender. Now, everybody's got their own way, but I want to tell you, I'm kind of old school. My grandpa was a trapper. My daddy was an avid hunter, and we survived on stuff like this, and I'll tell you, I still do. And if you want a fine piece of meat, well, you take your time and process it. Everybody takes and they talk about how much deer hunting costs. Well, it costs a lot to buy big guns and fancy stands and all that stuff. That's not what a homestead's about. I'm not a sports hunter. I saw a video the other day showing these two huge bucks. And they said, which one would you shoot? And I was thinking, well, both of them is going to be so tough you can't eat them. I know somebody was thinking about putting it on their wall, but I probably wouldn't choose either one of them. Unless my freezer was empty. But that's the difference. That's the difference between folks, I guess. Anyway, the video said that a pound of deer meat cost about $300 for them. Well, man, you need to quit hunting then. My deer rifle's 100 years old. Now, bullets is high. That's why you had to practice and set your scope, because it shouldn't take but one bullet to kill a deer. Everybody's got all these big automatic guns and stuff with it. That's nice if you can't shoot. You can shoot. You don't need but one bullet. All right, where are we running into now? I've got a little bit of thickness right here. All right. To probably make some more chunks like that. All this, if I cut it across, we're going to wind up, that would just kind of fry up. But I can tell you where the stew meat's at. We're looking at it. Now, we still want to cut that in 1-inch chunks. Maybe some grind, which I kind of say the stew meat is the grind, if you want to grind sausage. Now, let me tell you something. You take your meat to somebody and get them to process it, you need to know them. Because some folks, they'll just grind it all. That's what they'll do. I got a nice little pile of, I guess you just say it's dog food, because it's that sinew, and it's also the fat off of it, the gristle, maybe the edges. If you don't know that person, and even if you know them sometimes, that's going to go in your sausage. And they're going to spice it up so much you can't even taste it. So if you're a homesteader, you need to learn how to address your meat and cut it like you like it.
Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for more homesteading tips. Good day.